I had to let that run. That was phenomenal. That beginning scene. I don't know if you tuned in early enough to see the beginning scene where you have all of the male students doing it, and then you have what looks like the coach. Also, he's doing a headstand, and there's all this. It's like Chinese acrobats. It had that feel to it. Really fascinating. And I guess like as a kid, I used to tumble a lot. So who am I? I'm Skip Alzheimer, and welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16 millimeter films that capture parts of our childhood or our past, our culture, unintentionally capturing things that maybe we forgot about or maybe nobody cares about it anymore. But yeah, and we've been digitizing a bunch of the Cornet collection. We've made a deal with the people that own Cornet, and they sent us 14 pallets, 9,000 cans of film approximately, which we are slowly. I think we're at the halfway point. It's been like 3 years, but it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. And so that's why we tend to be a little bit Cornet heavy on our what we're showing. Our archive is stuff from lots of different places, but that one tends to be because we've been scanning them. We have them handy. So here's another Cornet film, How Wheels Help Us. Enjoy.
How do wheels help us? A wheel rolls, and things that roll are easy to move. It's much harder to slide something than to roll it. As the barrel slides over the rough cement, the boys have to use a lot of strength to move it. The barrel is rubbing against the sidewalk. At the same time, the sidewalk is rubbing against the barrel, slowing it down. We say it slows down because of friction. Stop sliding, and you reduce the friction. Now there's almost no sliding. So the boys are working against very little friction. That's why a rolling object is easier to move. But what does this have to do with wheels? You don't need wheels for a barrel. No, but what if you want to move one of the boys? Here's a better way. Or is it? That's right. You need more barrels to move a longer distance. Of course, you'd never really use barrels this way. But you might use metal rollers, which work much the same way as barrels. Rollers or barrels are not so good for moving boys. Wheels are better. Each wheel turns on an axle. Between the turning wheel and the axle, there is some friction. There's not as much friction between this wheel and axle. The roller skate wheel turns easily because it's on ball bearings. You can see the bearings when we remove part of the wheel. See? Tiny metal balls between the wheel and axle. With these bearings, the wheel rolls very easily around the axle. Ball bearings are also used on a bicycle wheel. The wagon doesn't have ball bearings, but there's still less friction than if the wagon were dragged over the ground. Notice that each wheel is free to turn by itself. The axle doesn't turn with it. But sometimes wheels are fastened to an axle. Most train wheels are made this way. Both wheels and axle turn together. These toy wheels are fastened to the axle in the same way. See? If you turn one wheel, the axle and the other wheel turn also. This doesn't work so well when you try to make the wheels follow a circle. The outside wheel skids because it isn't free to turn a greater amount than the inside wheel. Now we fix the wheels so that each one can turn about the axle separately. This is a better arrangement for following a circle. Now the outside wheel can move a greater amount than the inside wheel, and it doesn't slide. Remember that the wheels on the wagon are also free to turn separately. The wagon can turn around in a small space. Tractors must also turn in very small circles. So the wheels are made so they can turn different amounts. What about the wheels on a car? Yes, each one is free to turn a different amount. Can you think of other uses for a wheel? Suppose we change the wheel a little by cutting out notches. Now, it's a special kind of wheel, a gear. The notches, or teeth of the gear as they're called, can fit between the teeth of another gear. So if you turn one, you turn the other. They turn at the same speed because they're the same size. By making one gear smaller than the other, with fewer teeth, we can make one gear turn faster than the other. How can we be sure? Mark both gears to give each a starting line. Now, watch the line on the small gear as we turn the large one. See? The small one turns several times in the time it takes the large one to turn once. Gears of different sizes can help us in many ways. A hand drill works with gears. The hand turns a large gear. The large gear drives a small gear connected to the drill. The drill turns several times each time the hand goes around once. So it's possible to turn the drill very fast. When you turn the pedals of a bicycle, you're turning another kind of wheel, something like a gear. A sprocket wheel. The sprockets, or teeth of this wheel, fit between the links of a chain. The chain moves when you turn the wheel. The sprocket wheel with the pedals is much larger than a second sprocket wheel attached to the bicycle wheel. So each time your feet go around once, the rear wheel turns several times. That's one of the reasons you can go so fast on a bike. A sewing machine makes use of wheels driven by a belt instead of by a chain. This wheel has raised edges to keep the belt from sliding off. There's a lot of friction between the wheel and the belt because the belt presses tightly against the wheel. When the belt is moved, the wheels move along with it. She keeps her fingers away when the motor is on. Here's a wheel used in another way. Recognize the round handle of a faucet? With the wheel off, try turning it on using just your fingers. It's pretty hard to do. It's much easier with a wheel. With the wheel, you can apply more force. This boy is applying force to a wheel on this cart. The steering wheel. The steering wheel is fastened to a long post. Connected to the post at the bottom are 2 rods. Turning the post moves the rods. The other ends of the rods are connected to the front wheels, controlling their direction. In this way, the steering wheel can be used to control the direction of the cart. You've seen some of the ways in which wheels help us. But have you seen all the ways? Of course not. There are many, many other uses for wheels. Just look around you.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Behind me, I have a film scanner set up, and I have a film I pulled that we have not watched. This is Salmon Catch to Can. So it's guaranteed to have some assembly line footage of salmon going into cans. Enjoy.
From the depths of the Pacific, the salmon swim in by the millions, led by some strange instinct to the freshwater streams that gave them birth. Once there, they never eat again. Time and birth and death are closing in now. Using only the energy stored in their bodies when they left the ocean, the salmon must ascend the streams that carried them so readily to sea when they were young. Is never easy. Sometimes the obstacles seem too formidable. But formidable, too, is the drive of the salmon to fulfill its destiny. As the waters narrow, other obstacles stand waiting to take their toll of the silvery stream. too, interrupts the journey, but only momentarily, as his fishways and ladders guide the fish onward and make possible an estimate of their numbers for conservation planning. Far upstream in a quiet pool, the journey ends, its purpose fulfilled as the female scoops out a depression in the bottom to hold her eggs. By hundreds and by thousands, the tiny eggs pour forth. And the cloud-like sperm of the male envelops and fertilizes them. And finally, the cycle of time and birth and death completes itself as the parent salmon die, their bodies mottled and battered and spent by the efforts of their journey. Through their death, life has given life. As the days pass, new life begins to stir in pool after pool across the vast salmon country, and billions of eggs slowly grow to maturity. Soon the waters everywhere are sparkling with fingerlings, which in their own turn will head out to sea. To increase their population still further, hatcheries of the Fish and Wildlife Service and of the various states gather millions of eggs each year, fertilize and care for them until they hatch and the young can fend for themselves, thus supplementing the supply of a nutritionally valuable fish. Proper fishing methods must parallel such efforts if conservation is to be achieved. One is purse seine fishing. The lookout spots the salmon, and the small boat moves away, carrying the purse seine behind it. Floats at the top and lead weights at the bottom form a wall of netting suspended in the water. Salmon are sociable fish and travel in schools. The long seine intercepts the school. The crew of the big boat throw leaded lines and drive plungers into the water to keep the salmon headed toward the net. Then the small boat circles back with the far end of the net in tow, thus enclosing the fish on all sides. And now, lines that are threaded through rings in the bottom of the net are drawn in, closing up the bottom as strings close a lady's purse. Of the three major commercial fishing methods, trolling is the only one that makes no use of nets, depending instead on hooks and line. The hooks are baited for chinook or coho, the most likely of the 5 salmon species to strike a lure. Herring strips are frequently used for bait, but every troll fisherman has his own theory of what the salmon like. Plugs of every description appear each year, and often theories are discarded in mid-season as the fishermen try one lure and then another. A silver flasher is a frequent competitor for attention. Whatever the bait, an outrigger takes the line and the slow trolling begins. It ends with the strike, and the line is drawn in by hand. A single fish instead of a net full, but well worth the troller's time when it goes to market. As the trollers trail their lures, other net fishermen exploit the salmon's return to the freshwater streams of their birth. Gill nets, set to drift with existing currents, intercept the fish as they head upstream. Their wide mesh permits the smaller ones to pass through, but ensnares the gills of the larger fish, trapping them as the nets are drawn in. Alone in his boat, often for months at a time, the gill net fisherman leads a life of solitude. A solitude broken only by the visits of another skipper, or the buy-boat crew who put out from shore to buy his fish and bring him mail and supplies. But solitude has its rewards, as one by one the salmon come tumbling aboard, ready for the buy-boat and the trip to the cannery. From the holds of the cannery boats, the fish are pushed out on a conveyor belt, then lifted by elevator, starting them on their way to the cannery. In the cannery, machines called iron chinks, unique to the salmon industry, dress 60 to 70 fish a minute. Can after can is filled with the fish, and then, after salting and a careful final inspection, the cans are sealed, as many as 250 of them a minute. Then the sealed cans pour into broad racks for cooking. Thus, modern techniques ensure a product that is appetizing and nutritious, right from the can or in a variety of delightful dishes. A full-color recipe booklet, Take a Can of Salmon, shows how to prepare these and many other dishes using canned salmon. For a real treat, send 15 cents to the Superintendent of Documents, Government Printing Office, Washington 25, D.C., and you will receive a copy.
That address. Yeah, there was some definitely unappetizing material in there. Just like, woo, yikes. Anyways, beautiful footage though. Love it. Beautiful Kodachrome. All right, what do we got set up here? Let's learn about some Mother Goose rhymes. Enjoy.
Today, Linda and her brother Barry are reading a book of Mother Goose rhymes. Linda is too young to read very well, so she listens as Barry reads. But in time, she will learn to read well, too, just as you will. You will want to read well because books tell of many things. This book of Mother Goose rhymes tells of people of long, long ago. Of course, Mother Goose Land and the many people who live there are just made-up people who were never real. But imagine if they were real. Words that tell a story help us to imagine many things. Words might even help us imagine a trip to Mother Goose Land. Barry and Linda will need all the help they can get to imagine that. Shall we help them? All right. Let's think hard about the words Mother Goose Land and imagine what the words stand for. Let's say the words together. Mother Goose Land. Once more should do it. Mother Goose Land. Why, we are in Mother Goose Land. And here are Barry and Linda. It's just a short walk over the bridge that crosses the stream into Mother Goose Land. There's someone standing near the old mill. Do you know who it is? She seems to be looking, calling for something she's lost. Barry and Linda want to help. The girl says her name is Little Bo Peep. And now we can guess what she's lost. Do you remember the story about Little Bo Peep? Little Bo Peep has lost her sheep and can't tell where to find them. Leave them alone, and they'll come home wagging their tails behind them. But Bo Peep's sheep haven't come home. Couldn't Mother Goose find your sheep? Oh, yes. Mother Goose is sure to know where Bo Peep's sheep are. But where is Mother Goose? Well, she must be somewhere in Mother Goose Land. Shall we look for her? Yes, let's not waste another minute. Let's go with Linda, Bo Peep, and Barry to find Mother Goose. Look, some of the people of Mother Goose Land are playing a game of London Bridge. Linda and Barry know how to play the game. Do you know how to play London Bridge?
London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Take the keys and lock her up, lock her up, lock her up. Take the keys and lock her up, my fair lady.
That was a lot of fun. Can anyone here tell us where to find Mother Goose? No, nobody has seen Mother Goose today. But, says Jack Be Nimble, she might be visiting Peter Pumpkin Eater. Just follow the path and you'll be sure to find her. Yes, that's the path to take, says everyone. Goodbye. Good luck. Here's Peter's pumpkin house. But there's no one at home. Where shall we look now? Asks Bo Peep. Who's that over there? Why, it's Baa Black Sheep and his master. Who knows the story about Baa Black Sheep? Can we all say it together? Baa Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. 1 for the master, 1 for the dame, and 1 for the little boy who lives down the lane. Perhaps Baa Black Sheep or his master knows where Mother Goose is. We're looking for Mother Goose. Have you seen her? Just a moment. I'll ask Baa Black Sheep. Have you seen Mother Goose, Baa Black Sheep? No, we haven't seen her. But why don't you ask Little Boy Blue? He's probably near that haystack over there. Goodbye. Hope you find Mother Goose. Here's the haystack. Where's Little Boy Blue? Little Boy Blue, come blow your horn. The sheep's in the meadow, the cow's in the corn. But where is the boy who looks after the sheep? He's under the haystack, fast asleep. Will you wake him? No, not I. For if I do, he's sure to cry. We'll just have to ask someone else where we can find Mother Goose. Here's someone we can ask. Humpty Dumpty. If you're looking for Mother Goose, says Humpty Dumpty, go over there and ask little Miss Muffet. Thank you very much, Humpty Dumpty. We will. There's little Miss Muffet. What do you remember about her? Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet eating her curds and whey. There came a big spider who sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away. Miss Muffet, wait! Too late, she's gone. Well, who's this? Hello, the girl says. My name is Mary, and this is my little lamb. We're on our way to school. If you're looking for Mother Goose, talk to the old woman who lives in a shoe. And now Mary must be off to school or she'll be late. And speaking of being late, look at the hickory-dickory-dock clock. Hickory-dickory-dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1, the mouse ran down. Hickory-dickory-dock. It is getting late, but the old woman in a shoe doesn't live very far away. What a funny-looking house. A shoe. Would you like to live in a house like this? There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread. She whipped them all soundly and put them to bed. We're looking for Mother Goose. Well, says the old woman, I was just going to see Mother Goose to ask for a bigger shoe to live in. She's probably at the schoolhouse. Let's all go together. A little while later, as they pass a tiny enchanted castle, guess what they see? The schoolhouse. And see who's coming out of it. Mother Goose herself. Welcome, says Mother Goose. What's that? Will I help Bo Peep to find her sheep? Of course. There are your sheep grazing in the meadow. Next time, don't let them out of your sight. Oh, I won't. Thank you, Mother Goose. Thank you, old woman. Thank you, Linda and Barry. Mother Goose promises to find a larger shoe for the old woman and her children to live in. Thank you, thank you. Well, did you enjoy seeing Mother Gooseland? Oh, yes, says Linda. Now we're wondering how to get back home. You came here, says Mother Goose, by thinking what the words Mother Goose Land stood for. That's the way to get back home. Think about the word home and what it means. Let's all say the word together. Home. Again. Home. And back home we are. Hasn't it been exciting to read about and imagine a trip to Mother Goose Land? And you can do exactly what Barry and Linda did by reading words and learning what the words stand for. Linda and Barry did this by reading a book of Mother Goose rhymes. Would you like to try?
Done a lot of scanning of people's home movies, and I've found quite a few Mother Goose Lands across the United States, mostly in the Northeast, but I think there was one in Ohio. I went to one in Pennsylvania near Pittsburgh. Yeah, and then I've just seen them other places in the Northeast. So if you look up on YouTube, I think, or not YouTube, but if you look up on Google, you'll probably find other places. All right, I got another film on the film scanner. I love it when I can scan two films. This one is Splicey and Faded. Enjoy.
Honey, what time do you think you'll be home?
No later than usual. 6 or 6:30.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day, and be careful.
Okay. All right, cut it.
You okay, Greg?
As you can see, I'm a stuntman. One of the tools of the trade is blood sport. squib is a package of artificial blood, which is detonated by an explosive cap. For a single shot, like a pistol, you would use one squib. For something heavier, like a shotgun, you would use many squibs. Then when you get into blowing away of wood or rock, you have different types of squibs for these. You can use these squibs anywhere.
Thank you. How does it feel, Greg? Very good. Very good. Very good. A little shot? Yeah. Felt the pain. My head. Yeah, well, that's a little. Behind you. Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Doesn't look all that safe.
I played a lot of sports in school. I was very undecided what I wanted to do as my career. I did want something that would keep me in shape, you know, keep my body in condition. So I read this article, I believe it was in Post or Life magazine, and I left our little town, came out here to the big city. I trained down at a gym in Santa Monica under a man that's been in the business 35 years. I was told by another source that this is where they work out, so I asked if I could be trained. And he says, yeah, sure. I've been doing it ever since. What I'm doing here is preparing for a fall from the top of this roof. I've got to stick a fake dynamite. The real explosive will be in a pan down below where the camera and the audience won't see it. The idea is that I get shot, the dynamite falls out of my hand, and I fall onto the stick of dynamite, which completely blows me up. A simple way of doing this stunt is for me just to fall off the roof. Then it will look like I fell on top of my own dynamite, and I'll be buried in a cloud of smoke. Now the hard way is to use a train and make it look like the explosive blows me back out into the air.
Action! All right, Greg, stay down.
I really dig on the explosions. You feel all of the debris and stuff flying around you, and you get a little hot pants once in a while, and it really gets you into the stunt itself. The sound, I hear the sound, and it just kind of like stimulates something. To tell you the truth, it kind of scares me to go out because it's, you know, it's kind of loud. In doing a car stunt, you're not depending on yourself, you're depending on the man who's driving the car. He has to be coming at the exact speed, he has to keep it in a straight line, you don't want him to be shifting the car at the impact. This will throw you completely different. So if he happens to have a bad day, you know, it may reflect on you too, you know. It's usually good to be a one-take man.
Did the other camera get that?
We always try to shoot these stunts from as many angles as possible. I like that one. The director wants a little something different, wants me to roll down the hill. So I'll do it for him. I'll put a little more into it. If I weren't a stuntman, I don't know what I'd be doing. Maybe I'd be working for some company, and on my off time I'd be falling off of buildings, things like that, making a fool of myself. But I'd just as soon, you know, turn it into money. My wife likes my profession. It's just that sometimes She doesn't like to be around when I do the real exciting ones, or the hellacious stunts. You know, the fight routines she likes. But when I get into the hairy ones, like getting hit by the cars and things like that, she'd just soon not be around. Because she's very protective. My favorite of all stunts is the high fall. Reason is because I get the feeling of being free and floating through the air, and the wind flowing past my ears, and the whistle, and my hair flying all over the back of your shoulders, you know, down to your waist. And if you don't do that, well, you're going to come out hurting. Putting a little excitement into my fall makes it a lot more interesting. You get shot in the back or you get shot in the stomach, you've got to really emphasize the idea that you've gotten shot and why you are falling. You know, you just can't stand up there and fall off. So you've got to act. Well, I like to put a little kick and a jump in it to make them think that I'm really afraid of hitting the ground. Because I'm not dead yet. I know I'm falling, and that's why I'm kicking. I'm trying to get back up to my platform. I'm trying to get... I used to be a telephone man, and I went to their school, pole climbing school, and I didn't appreciate the equipment that they gave me. Not that it wasn't any good, but I just didn't like the idea of relying on something else other than me. The telephone company wouldn't let me climb their poles because they thought I had acrophobia. If they could only see me now.
Hold it!
If there's anything to this reincarnation, I want to come back as a bird.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day. And be careful.
Well, that was pretty awesome. I was looking for the photo, but that is a film, that and a couple of other films that I had on a reel that I showed in Los Angeles for the opening of the Alamo Draft House there. And I was showing a bunch of educational films, and that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had just come out, and so there was a request to bring some stunt footage. And I was like, oh, I got enough, I can do a whole show of that, like 30 minutes of that. And so I was showing, what was I showing? A bunch of films about bad boys, and this woman comes in with a New Zealand accent, and it was Zoe Bell, the top female stunt woman, and she was like, do you have any films on stunts? And I was like, actually I do. So we showed the films, and she actively commented on them. There was maybe 10 of us in the theater, because people were going in and out because of this grand opening thing. But the people that stayed, they were in for a treat. They were all floored by what Zoe was talking about, basically talking about that Stuntman, this is all a bunch of cowboy stunts, and then how things changed when The Matrix came out. There was a lot of wire stunts, and it was just phenomenal. I reached out to her. I mean, it's rare that I get a selfie, but I got a selfie with her. Also, I did get a selfie with Leonard Maltin. It's rare that I get selfies, but I gave her my card. I was like, yeah, we should do a show together. was very excited because I have definitely a crush on her, and never heard a word. But you know, that's part of the deal. Part of the deal. But yeah, it's surprisingly I have like 3 or 4 films on stunts, like educational films. So go figure. Thanks for tuning in today. Very much appreciate it. Got to see lots of different films. I got to scan 2 films, and we got to learn a lot of stuff. And your comments were great as always. Very much appreciate your eyeballs and your brains processing what we're watching, trying to figure things out. Ways that you can help us. One way is to hit the thumbs up or the like button in whatever social media platform you are in, and we are in several right now. Another way is you can buy us some coffee by going to ko-fi.com/avgeeks or patreon.com/avgeeks. You can also passively support us by watching one of the several thousand films that we have put on YouTube. We get ad revenue from that. And all you have to do is not have an ad blocker installed, and we get a couple of pennies every time you watch something. And eventually that's enough to help us pay for rent, help us pay for shelving, help us pay for other things. And that adds up over a period of time. So if you don't have any cash to spare and you enjoy watching these films, keep watching them. And, you know, the ads are annoying, but they help pay the bills. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Friday already. Holy cow. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Take care.